Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Harne podcast, Commercial Banking. Now, if you are someone who is interested in pursuing a career in commercial banking in Canada, this episode is perfect for you. My guest today is Sidharth Sharma, who has switched his career from being a manager in a government petroleum company in India to a commercial banker at the CIBC Bank in Canada. How was he able to successfully transform his career? What are his learnings along the way? And how can we benefit from his experience? Let us find out on this episode. Before we begin, the usual request to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and leave us a feedback in the comment section. Let's dig right into this conversation. Hello, Siddharth. How are you doing? Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Raghav, Raghav, my pleasure. It's amazing connecting with you after a long time, and happy to be here. Happy to share my experience and journey in Canada, and look forward to this podcast.
And we look forward to deriving a lot of value from your experience because you've made an interesting career switch. So I will not divulge the details. I'll allow you. Please go ahead and tell us about your background.
For sure, Raghav. So before my MBA, I kind of worked for about 6.5 years, to be very precise, 6 years and 10 months in management roles across oil and gas sector. So my background primarily is in oil and gas industry. I started my career in B2B sales after my undergraduation in mechanical engineering from NIT Surat. And thereafter, I spent about 3.5 years into that role of selling different oil and gas downstream different oil and gas products. And thereafter, I grabbed an opportunity to switch to the upstream aspect of oil and gas industry and got an opportunity to lead some procurement initiatives and then worked on the capital budgeting of oil and gas products and also worked in contract negotiations, risk management, and fairly, gained a holistic understanding of oil and gas industry. And thereafter, is kind of looking for, okay, what to do next. I had felt that there is some knowledge gap into my thought process and was, looking forward to having further studies after about, 6 years and 10 months of drilling job hours. So kind of I sat down and, I kind of pondered, kind of realized, my core skill sets were in relationship management, in need assessment through discovery conversations, had a fair bit idea of about procurement, capital budgeting, contracts. So, just I was thinking of, which direction to go, whether it should be a technical degree I should pursue or should it be a business degree that I should pursue. So, that's my basically, whole background and a bit about, okay, what I wanted to do about, I think it was about 3 years back.
All right. And a lot of terms which you used, even I did not understand. So in short, if I had to summarize your experience, I would say you had a government job, a very secure and a stable job in India, which you left to pursue an MBA. So tell me the thought process behind that. I'm sure your parents, your family members must have cautioned you before saying that, you have a steady, stable job for life. Why leave that and pursue something which is uncertain? So how did you make that decision?
Well, for sure. So, I would divide this answer into two aspects. The one that you mentioned of me working for a public sector enterprise, which was like Bharat Petroleum and, more of a typical secured job in India. And why did I leave that? So, I would say that I was lucky to be born in a family which understood my aspirations and provided me that flexibility to pursue, the goal of further studies. So, I was like one of the fortunate ones to have even that bandwidth in my mind to think about this. And, I'm so thankful to my parents that they had already established, a platform for me in life so that I did not have to immediately think about, sustaining them or sustaining my family and give that a little bit of extra time to pursue my further goals. And the second aspect would be, why did I study a business degree? So, I would share that I kind of through my, assessing my skill sets and, what I liked uh, doing in my job, uh, what I was excited for, I thought that a business degree would be a more prudent step to consider rather than a purely technical degree, and decided to pursue my MBA.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
happy to share more about why I chose Schulich, why Canada, and anything of that sort.
Yeah, definitely. And that was going to be my next question, that how did you zero down on the Schulich School of Business, and which other schools, like were you accepted to any other business schools? And if yes, then what made you pursue your MBA from the Schulich School of Business?
Awesome, man! You are taking me back to I believe like 3 or 4 years back when everybody was preparing for these questions. Why MBA? Why Schulich? So yeah, a kind of a reflection of that. Um, I would say that I chose Canada primarily because of two reasons. One being I was very sure that in case I'm pursuing a business degree, it should be from English-speaking geography, because in management, communication is one of the primary skill sets through which you have to influence. And um, I felt that English speaking geography would provide me some kind of opportunity to quickly get into the shoes of influencing through communication. The second reason of choosing Canada was primarily because of immigration friendly policies. As you know, Canada has a lot of policies which kind of uh, give us indicate a stable scenario for your onward professional journey and personal journey. So ended up choosing Canada.
Right. And then how did you choose the Schulich School of Business?
So I chose Schulich because it was located in Toronto. Um, Toronto being such a major metropolitan city of Canada. I had read about Toronto that it's a very diverse city, and because I was changing countries, like after about 26, 27 years in India, I thought that I should not end up going in a city which kind of I felt secluded in that. So I ended up choosing Toronto. The second aspect of choosing Toronto was it was a financial hub. It is a financial hub in Canada. And as an engineer, I was always excited by the business aspects of projects. And I kind of ended up um, making a decision to pursue a business degree was because I wanted to upskill in finance, and hence, uh, ended up choosing Schulich. And the cherry on cake was it offered a specialization, or there were good subjects that were taught in that were about mining and natural resources, which was very unique to Schulich. And you know, second year, I got an opportunity to pursue, few of those subjects, and I really enjoyed. More than anything, I felt that I really enriched my thought process and my thing about the natural resources industry in Canada.
Right. Thank you for that answer. And let me now take you back to your MBA interview when you were interviewing for Schulich. So,
Sure.
what do you think worked? What was so different about your profile? And you have any memory of the interview experience? What worked, and what advice would you give to someone who's listening to this?
For sure, Raghav bhai. So, I like if I were to share, uh, the preparation process about Schulich was, the basic questions: why MBA? Why the school? And what would I add to the thought process of court? And this these basic questions. I believe all MBA participants with some research on the internet can gain access to an exhaustive list of these questions. Um, like I can't say that this particular question one, but preparation for those questions will spark that thought process in your mind, that why MBA, and why do you want to pursue a business degree, and that sort. So even when the interviewer asks you any question, you have enough ammo. Your brain has those connections that you can answer any sort of questions in the interview. Uh, well, kind of, I would say an odd thing happened in my interview. It was on Skype, so my audio didn't work. So it was very odd position for me. So just for the folks and MBA aspirants out there, I would share that your tech in line. I was lucky that the interviewer was kind of flexible to have interview in a mode that the video was connected through laptop, and I was the audio aspect was taken care by me answered through the mobile phone. So that kind of helped eased a lot of my tech. But this is something that I would suggest, that get your tech in line.
Sure. And that's a very useful tip, because we often forget about the basics, but you need to get the basics right every single time. So that's good advice, that get your tech in line before you are interviewing. So now, Sidharth, moving on, you are working as a commercial banker currently, but you don't have that background. You have a background working in a government petroleum company. So were you clear that you wanted to get into banking? Like you said, you had an inclination towards finance, but did you have that clarity that you wanted to get into commercial banking? Because finance, again, is very vast. There's investment banking, there's analysis, there's commercial banking. So were you clear on the aspect?
Well, during my second year, I became much surer that I want to build a career in finance. And as you said, my background was in oil and gas industry. I would share that the first 3.5 years of my experience was into B2B sales. So for your listeners, B2B sales is generally like business to business sales or business to business comms. So it kind of involved aspects of relationship management, discovery conversations, need assessment, solving problems of clients, through understanding their processes. So, I would share that uh, in any sort of a relationship management role or a technical role, you what you have to do is you have to build trust with clients, understand their needs, and suggest appropriate products. So here, as a commercial banker, kind of utilizing a lot of transferable skills. that I had gained in my prior job, and I'm just layering whatever financial upskill that I did during my MBA. I'm layering that in here because the products that I am assisting clients here are financial products. So it kind of requires you to have understanding of finance. Um, so that's the whole story. How I sold my profile to the recruiter here that I have these pillars of relationship management, discovery conversation, meeting clients, and I layered my financial upskilling through my MBA on top of that. So, that's how I thought of, starting at finance and commercial banking. Uh, Another aspect that I would like to share with you is um, I believe like about 80% of the businesses in Canada are MSMEs or small scale businesses. They are, not public uh, listed companies. So what runs Canada are these businesses, these entrepreneurs. Um, so I really wanted to have a first-hand understanding of, how businesses operate on ground. And, through this profile, I'm kind of getting a very unique opportunity to interact with these entrepreneurs, understand their vision, how they execute things here. Also, uh, all of us, like a lot of immigrants, are quite new to this country. So the law of land, the words that you use, what are the policies here? So, banking is, I won't say it's completely risk averse, but they really think a lot about the risk, that they take. It's because, you don't kind of supporting them, but you don't have a hand if in their ups in case they upscale. So it's like whatever you have extended to them as a like a term loan or revolver or whatever are the financial products that you extend to them. You don't have a lot of a story, or you don't have a lot of gains to read in case they are upscaling. So but you end up losing a lot in case there's no good story lying ahead for them, in case they become bankrupt, or any sort of any sort of an unfortunate incident happens. So you really have to think a lot about the risk that you take. So a lot of legal documents have to be signed. So that unique aspect of understanding the law of the land, um, I'm kind of getting a first-hand experience, and that was one of the things that I had to work a lot on to understand, because a lot of us have spent about 20 years or 25 years in different geographies, and we were much more accustomed to that law of land. But the law of land here is a bit different. So yeah, so those were some additional aspects that I began my journey in commercial banking.
All right. And Siddharth, on that note, you've touched upon it. But if you could explain your job responsibilities and what is it that you do on a daily basis as a commercial banker at CIBC?
For sure, happy to share on that. So my role is kind of divided into aspects. There are some very large accounts that are handled by experienced managers. Over the years, they kind of have developed those relationships, have developed those acumen to uh, you know help those clients. So you, that aspect, like how I started in commercial banking, was supporting these senior managers who were dealing with these accounts. So that aspect of job allowed me the bandwidth to understand the new job, gain skill sets of it. And CIBC has a very unique program called Commercial Banking Associate Program that kind of guides you through upskilling modules, various webinars which happen so that you understand commercial banking, the different the different segments or strategic business units within CIB that support commercial banking line of business. So um, I started with that, and as you progress, as you gain more confidence, as you work on more files, then there are those independent businesses which you are allowed to whose relationship account you are confident of managing. So you kind of get those accounts, those businesses to handle as an independent manager. So to share in a nutshell, like what I do day to day is I study the balance sheet, income statement, and cash flow statements of companies. The basic 5 C's of credit, which is capacity, capital, collateral, and conditions. To interact with each of the industries and entrepreneurs to gauge them on these 5 C's. Through their financial statements, through macro parameters and economy, through the local parameters where they are doing the business. So, you assess these and then you make a decision whether what's the right appropriate product for their business and, how can the bank be part of their growth story.
All right. That sounds like a fascinating job, Sidharth. And now let's talk about how do you get this job? So I believe you must have prepared a resume, you must have networked for it and would have faced an interview. So if you could start with how to prepare a resume for this job, what are the keywords? What should the length of your resume be? If you could please elaborate on that aspect.
For sure, Rakabhai. So I would share that as somebody who are new to this country, the first job that a lot of us end up getting are through our proven skill sets in our job. So you really have to think a lot about what sort of transferable skills in your prior job can help you getting recruited and then the different industries here. So for me, in my personal case, I had good relationship management skills, business development acumen, understanding the macro parameters, and the kind of upskilling that I did in finance. So this sort of role in finance kind of resonated with the transferable skills that I had. So that's the first step. You need to identify a list of profiles that you can aim for. Then the second step comes to making a resume for those profiles. So we were kind of fortunate to have an interaction with the CDC, the career council, and our the career center at Schulich. But I would share that they kind of give you guidance, but 90% of the work has to be done. So preparing a resume, preparing for the questions, preparing an elevator pitch has to be done by you. So um, it I mean, like typically in consulting, a one-page resume is preferred. But in other fields, it depends on it's very subjective. So I would share that in my profile, I thought that I could describe the experience that I wanted to share in my resume in a one page. So I ended up creating a one page resume highlighting these aspects which are required for a commercial banker. I mean, like you have to be a good relationship manager. You have to have that business development acumen. You have, I kind of showed, how I've the kind of financial skill sets that I have gained. Uh, and like I kind of supplemented it with some the certifications that I gained through some prep providers like Corporate Financial Institute, LinkedIn, and all that sort. So uh, so these sort of things created enough ammo inside my resume to kind of strike with the job requirements. And when I shared my resume with the recruiter, having a first glance of it, it's kind of convinced, yeah, this guy can really perform at this job.
Thank you, Sidharth, for that answer. And now let's talk about networking. So I'm sure you must have networked and got in touch with some people to get this job, or was it a cold application?
No, so for this one, the commercial banking job, I actively reached out to the recruiters on LinkedIn. So the way a lot of job applications and how a lot of recruitment works in North America is typically the job applicants actively reaching out to recruiters. Um, so I reached out to the recruiter for this profile and through LinkedIn scheduled kind of an open conversation with him, and then from there on I was uh, I got into the process of applying for this profile, and my application went through different stages of the screening process and interview process, and then finally the acceptance process, that sort of thing.
And we'll talk about the interview experience you had at CIBC. But if you could elaborate on the networking tips, because you must have networked with a lot of people. So for our listeners, what would your advice be on networking?
Sure, Raghavbhai. So the first thing I would share would be to to work on an elevator pitch for you, because that kind of helps in introducing yourself, and let it be on a LinkedIn chat or on a phone conversation. How you present yourself matters a lot. So typically, like I worked on creating an elevator pitch, not a kind of satisfied my level, or like how I want to present myself. I believe like I took about a week to perfect it or to make it crisp and short. So that the first step I generally share with a lot of fellow MBAs and like folks who reach out to me. And then the second step is identify people of influence, or people of people who really make a decision on job offers. So you have to do a bit of research on LinkedIn for that, and be confident enough to reach out to them, and you know and be confident enough to share, why to know more about that profile, because to identify whether you are really interested in it or not, and then once you get confident, no, this is what I'll be able to perform, and or it interests me, why it interests me, just sell yourself. I mean, why are you the perfect candidate for that job?
Yeah, thank you. And you are right. You are at the end of the day selling yourself as a candidate for that job amongst the pool of the other candidates. So those are
Absolutely.
important tips. Thank you for that. And now let's talk about the interview process for a commercial banker. How many rounds of interview did you have to face, and what were they like? Did you have to face any case interviews? What was the HR interview like? If you could please elaborate on that.
For sure. So typically, it's the screening process is an HR round wherein you are asked the basic questions about your background, your resume. So prepare for it. Um, uh, so like I kind of concentrated on a lot on why CIBC in my HR round, because I really wanted to share that why I want to work for this organization. Um, and then once you are through the screening round, you kind of get into the case round. So case round is like very very different for different profiles. So that this was a financial profile. So what I ended up getting was a financial case. So I think I can't share a lot about the what happens in a typical case interview process, but it's more about assessing the financials of a company, and then making decisions about from your assessment of the financials of a company, what would your decisions be. So something of that flavor. And then once you are through the case round, you kind of get into the discussions of the remuneration for the profile, and those, once you are accepted into the system, you basically go through the administrative steps of a background check and those things, and then once you are through that, you kind of get a joining date.
All right. And from the sounds of it, it looks like the case interview is the hardest to crack. So how did you prepare for that?
Yep. So a lot of financial upskilling that I did during the MBA. Done it. Also, I I I I utilized this prep provider called Corporate Financial Institute (CFI). They have a commercial banking preparation package, so that kind of introduces you to uh, you know what sort of a profile or what sort of financial decisions that the commercial bankers make. So yeah, that kind of helped me a lot in preparing for the case interview now.
Thank you. I think our listeners will find that resource useful. So, and now let's talk about your decision of moving to Windsor. Because earlier
Mhm.
you said that one of the reasons why you chose Schulich was that it was situated in Toronto, and you decided to go work in Windsor. So, why did you take that step, and how did you find life different in Windsor versus Toronto?
Yeah, that's a very difficult question, and I mean, like a very difficult choice that I also made back then when I decided to move to Windsor. Um, I would, the factors that I considered, I would divide those factors into two buckets: a personal bucket and a professional bucket. Uh, the personal bucket had the factors that I already had some friends, my undergraduate friends who studied in US, and then they kind of moved to Windsor. Uh, So Windsor is a city bordering Detroit. Uh, Detroit is just 20 minutes away from Windsor. So, you kind of get a very unique experience of living in Canada and as well as experiencing US, which is just, 20 minutes away from the city. Uh, the other personal factor was I really wanted to stay very close to US. And that was like a personal requirement for me. Then the third factor was, Windsor is a small town. I mean, like not as big as Toronto, but it kind of offers, much more affordable uh, costs in terms of living a comfortable life here. You have all now this is very subjective and depends on person to person what kind of life do you want to lead, but the kind of life that I want to lead in this stage of my career, all those factors are met here. The other aspect is a professional aspect. I would share that Windsor is one of the fastest growing cities in Canada. You would have heard back, a few months ago, there was a major investment of about, $5 billion into the battery manufacturing plant here. So a lot of investment is coming in Canada in terms of the growth story of Windsor looks quite bright. So, like those were kind of some of the professional reasons that I chose Windsor. And after coming here, every decision has some advantages and disadvantages with it. But I'm kind of cool living with the advantages here in Windsor.
Right. And I can certainly agree with you when you say that Windsor provides more affordable housing, especially the rent. And nowadays it's crazy in
Absolutely.
Toronto. But thank you so much, Sidharth, for your time and sharing your wisdom with us. I am sure that it will help a lot of listeners. And we wish you all the best for your future endeavors. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Raghavbhai, for giving me this opportunity, and happy to share my journey with the folks out there, so that it would give me like a satisfaction of a very different level if somebody can really take things out of this conversation and it helps them in their journey.
Definitely. And what I will do is I will put in your LinkedIn profile in the description section. So if anybody is interested and wants to know more, they can reach out to you over LinkedIn.
For sure. It was amazing interacting with you. And I know personally that, you really wanted to start these conversations and, this podcast. And, I'm so happy that the initiative has taken off and, you're doing, so fantastic in pursuing this, this initiative of yours. So kudos to you, and, wish you good luck as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. All right, Sidharth, take care.
Thank you.
And that was the conversation for today. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel, press the like button, and leave us a feedback in the comment section down below. Until the next time, this is your host, Harne, signing off. Take care.